Well, it's September the 8th, and just like that, we got the truck already loaded up and ready to go down for some mule deer and maybe some waterfowl. So I am super excited. The last couple of years, we've been fortunate with the mule deer. We've killed some great bucks, and I'm hoping we can keep that momentum flowing into this year. Well, it's an absolute gorgeous first morning spotting here in the prairies, and I can't believe it, but I actually put a beautiful bull out to bed. I don't know what to say. It's real unfortunate. We're gonna keep tracking, go regroup, and maybe get after some mule deer. This country's pretty unforgiving. Well, it's morning number 2, and we're getting ready to do our first stalk. Put some great bucks to bed, 3 in particular. Oh, an 8-hour stalk in the blazing heat, boom, just like that. Well, we're wiped, and it's getting fairly late in the evening. It's plus 30, so we're just gonna walk into a dugout. I've always seen deer here. Look at the blood pumping, Dad. I couldn't have asked for a more gorgeous buck.
The sun's just coming up and the birds are pouring into this field.
Holy cow, that was unbelievable. Dropped one and almost landed in the blind. My name is Mitchell Payment. I started tagging along with my dad to go hunting basically since I learned to walk. I grew up living the outdoor lifestyle, learning from my dad and any hunting video I could get my hands on as a kid. Once I turned 12, the legal age to hunt, we started taking things more serious than ever, working hard and learning through experience to better our odds to fold our tags on the animals we are pursuing. It has helped us grow into who we are now. Welcome to Season 5 of Moment of Truth TV. I just killed the bull of my dreams. Smoked him. This buck is what dreams are made of. Oh my God. Yes! I'm at a loss for words.
Oh, he's so nice in return.
He is such an awesome buck. I crushed him in. That was unbelievable. Well, it's September the 8th, and just like that, we got the truck already loaded up and ready to go down for some mule deer. I am super excited. The last couple of years, we've been super fortunate with the mule deer. We've killed some great bucks, and I'm hoping we can keep that momentum flowing into this year. And we've had a great first week of hunting season, getting stuff done. I even harvested a beautiful whitetail, so if we can keep the momentum going in the prairies, it'd be awesome. We're going down there. We're probably going to meet up with Grandpa. We're not sure if he's coming yet, but we'll be chasing mule deer for sure, and maybe some waterfowl. So stay tuned. It should be a great week of hunting. Well, we're about halfway down now. We're making good time, but this is my boot, and we put a lot of miles on these boots, and it seems to wear out the laces. That's the first thing to go, so thankfully I have another set. Hopefully these ones last me a couple more years of hiking and bushwhacking. To the beautiful prairies of Alberta and mule deer country. We just drove around, got some great permission, and now we're good to go for driving around and doing glassing and hopefully putting a muley buck to bed. But it is blowing like a son of a gun today, so we're just gonna get the truck unloaded, get settled into camp here, and then go for a drive for the evening. But hopefully this wind calms down. With the truck unloaded and our hunting gear on, it's time to go for a drive and see if we can't lay our eyes on a nice buck on our first evening in mule deer country. Moment of Truth TV is brought to you by RV City, generations of family fun. Old Smokes Coffee, coffee for the courageous. iHunter app, know your regs inside and out. Black Widow Deer Lures, #1 whitetail estrus and deer scents.
Tacticam, share your hunt. Sights and Arms, your firearm specialists. And by Prime Archery, the most accurate bows on the planet. This segment is brought to you by Old Smokes Coffee. Try it yourself and use promo code MOT at oldsmokescoffee.com for 10% off your purchase. Shortly into our drive, we had our first mule deer spotted, and it was time to get a bit closer look.
Man, right in a cactus.
Seeing the abundance of wildlife had us thankful to be back in the prairies and excited to see what this trip has in store.
Well, we actually just came to where we normally hunt, and there's a gorgeous buck out and a smaller buck with him. And he's got a little weak front forks, but his back forks are impressive and a great frame. A beautiful deer that I'd love to get an arrow in. So we're just watching him, throwing him through the Tacticam through the spotting scope. And the sun just went down, so it's too dark to even make a stalk attempt. So we might be back here in the morning to try to put this guy to bed, but we'll probably be to the west of here and here. So we'll probably be split up and hopefully put a nice buck to bed, including this one, and get a victory arrow in him.
Upon arriving back to camp, we enjoyed a delicious home-cooked meal, followed by a rising moon and some of the best stars Mother Nature has to offer. It's the crack of dawn on our first morning, and after dropping my dad off on our vantage point, overlooking where the nice buck was the night prior, I'm hitting the pavement heading to our Old Faithful spot in hopes once again it does not disappoint.
Well, this is pretty exciting. We find ourselves in the exact same spot as last year, but this time we're actually going in after an elk. I came to the top of this hill this morning to scout for mule deer, and to my surprise, I spotted 2 bull elk, and the biggest one was down in the valley here, and I watched him go up into the coulee system to bed, and there's one specific coulee I watched him plop down in. We're gonna drive in there. We got a good, perfect southwest wind, be able to slip up the coulee, hopefully over the hill, and he's laying there. We're not sure if we can see him right now. We think we might, but we're pretty positive he's in that coulee unless he got up and left. We're gonna go in after this nice bull elk, and then we actually have a few mule deer that we can stalk afterwards. So should be an eventful day. Fingers crossed we get to draw some blood.
When it comes to spot and stalking, there's many variables that come into play. One of them is not spooking game before reaching your target. This mama with her pups was not happy, yipping a warning call for 45 minutes. After waiting her out and letting her calm down, I think we were far enough from the elk where it wouldn't have alerted him, and it was time to move forward. After getting settled in about 100 yards from the brush where we figured the bull was, it was time to let out a few cow chirps to hopefully draw him out. And just like that, this gorgeous bull was coming in on a string and had my heart racing. Knowing right away that my shot was far from lethal made my heart sink. Watching this bull walk miles out of my life with not even a drop of blood was a tough pill to swallow. Hitting a heavy bone gang next to no penetration was unfortunate and a tough way to start our muley hunt.
If I'm gonna wear it, it needs to work. It doesn't matter where I go. It doesn't matter what I hunt. Huntworth works. It doesn't matter if the weather's good or bad. Huntworth works. And if Huntworth works for me, it'll work for you and your budget. Any game, any place, anytime, Huntworth works.
This segment is brought to you by Victory Archery, leading the way in performance, reliability, and innovative arrow design. Regrouping and getting back into the swing of muleys, we were able to locate a few of the bucks my dad had seen that morning. With 2 bucks bedded in the grain, it was time to make a move down the creek bed and get into position. Upon getting into range, the farmers next door combining finished their field and started driving down the road, spooking these bucks over the hill and never to be seen again. Having some tough luck on day 1, we had a turn for the better when I spotted a group of bucks from the morning before chasing elk, up on their feet, giving us one last opportunity before dark. With time not on our side, we had to act quick to try to make something happen. With the bucks naturally slowly working away from us, I was forced to rush the stalk, resulting in a couple spook bucks running over the hill.
Oh, well, that was the last minute stalk on this evening. We just rushed in here. We've seen these bucks come in here, and unfortunately we just weren't able to get close enough. That's the thing with night hunts, they're usually rushed and it just doesn't seem to work out ever. We never got it done. So got to 90 or so. I was kind of getting ready to get an arrow out soon, but that took a lot out of me on my arms and stuff. It's been a long day, so we're gonna head back to camp and relax for the evening. My throat is so dry. This country's pretty unforgiving.
The next morning, Dad and I stayed together and were able to locate one of the bucks from the previous night, grazing his way back to bed. While watching this wide-frame beautiful buck, we were also able to spot another great velvet rack going into some buckbrush with another little buck and doe. With a couple nice velvet bucks put to bed with the sun rising, it's now time to make a move.
Well, it's morning number 2 and we're getting ready to do our first stalk. We sat up on the hill, put some great bucks to bed, and we actually watched this one go right into this creek bed, and I think everything's shaping up for a good stalk. He's just below some shrubs and we should be able to get in the creek bed, slip right up to him, and hopefully get within range and get an arrow in him. But we're gonna get after it. We got a good wind, so fingers crossed we can make it happen.
Upon sneaking into the creek bed, we ended up belly crawling well over 100 yards just to be safe. Trying to figure out his location in the tall grass from a different point of view was challenging, but as we continued to itch forward, only moving with the wind gusts, we made it to the bush we believed he was in, and sure enough, I spotted velvet tines only 20 yards away. With the buck spotted, it was now a waiting game. Sitting in the blazing heat and strong winds for 6 hours staring into the same bush was nearly torturous. While staring into the bush, all of a sudden the antlers disappeared, and after another hour passed, I looked up and a giant velvet rack was coming out of the bush. He immediately picked us out, and after a short stare off, he was gone.
Well, that is some tough luck. We sat there for, that was like a
8-10 hour stalk from the point where we started. We sat there for 6 hours in the blazing heat.
waiting for him to come out. And I seen him in there, and then he moved. He got up, went to
The
the
washer moved and he went right
in
in.
this ditch.
It took him about
3 seconds to get out of the ditch and out.
and he had us pegged and ran away.
Well, we're wiped and it's getting fairly late in the evening. It's plus 30, so we're just gonna walk into a dugout. I've always seen deer here. Every morning I see deer drinking here, and they even bed beside it sometimes. And it's right kind of just on the fringe of where we watch all the bucks bed, so you just really never know. It's just kind of going out on a whim, and we'll wait and see what happens. Let's get in there.
After getting settled in and the sun began to set, I couldn't believe my eyes when I caught velvet tines coming down the pipe, and one looked to be good. With the little bucks starting to move out in front of us, I caught glimpses of a bigger rack behind the grass. When there stepped out a beautiful full velvet buck.
Was it good? Look at the blood pumping, Dad. Look at the blood pumping. He just piled up. He's dead just like that.
You're kidding.
He's down right there. Yes! Are you kidding me? Oh, he's down. He's just going down. Oh my gosh. You know what? We've been through so much. All the downs here, the last few days, we've been hunting hard with the elk and now the mule deer and just getting so close, but yet so far. And we couldn't have been any more down. And Dad mentioned, you know, the watering hole. There's no water this year. All the slough beds are dry. So we figured we'd come check out this watering hole on the base of the hills, right where we put all these bucks to bed. We came in here, go on the edge of the shrubs, and I seen him coming and with little bucks. And the little bucks got downwind, busted, and he just came walking out. And I just lasered him. Did you see that green laser beam right through the chest at 45 yards? He literally didn't go 60 yards, he just blood spewing. Put it here, Dad, we did it. That was the coolest thing I've ever experienced right there.
Moment of Truth TV is brought to you by Revolution Armory, Canada's best custom shotguns. G5 Outdoors, designed to hunt. Burris Optics, find what matters. Reveal Cellular Cameras, always on the hunt. Victory Archery, the carbon arrow experts. And by Score Ammunition, proudly Canadian. This segment is brought to you by Sights and Arms for all your firearm, shooting, and hunting needs. Also, get booked for the best firearm training, shooting sports, and reloading courses today.
Well, we found my Victory arrow, and man, oh man, the penetration power on this thing. It zipped through him with that G5 Montec M3. It didn't even slow down, and it went almost through his entire body. That's a good testament to a good arrow, good penetrating arrow, and a good broadhead. Oh my gosh, guys, we gave him about 10 minutes. Look at this blood. Every time he hit the ground, just, it's like a red carpet. That G5 Montec M3 absolutely tore him up. Like, that's the easiest trail job I've ever seen, even though we've watched him pile up. Oh my gosh, guys. I see a big velvet rack sticking up. Look at that. Oh my gosh, he's wide. Look at that. Flyer off the G2. He's just starting to strip his velvet. I couldn't have asked for a more gorgeous buck. Oh, and to get him, watch him go down in the beautiful prairies of Alberta with the gorgeous sunset, I honestly couldn't be any happier. Well, everyone, here he is, another gorgeous velvet mule deer buck. Dad and I have been just going hard after mule deer, and we've had some close encounters, and tonight this gorgeous buck read the script and came to the dugout that we were sitting at, and he came right out, presented me a 46-yard shot. I sent it with the prime. The Victory arrow absolutely found its mark, taking out his heart. You know, this place is something else. I get to come down here with my dad and grandpa, and I just sure do not take it for granted. There's nothing cooler, and I can't thank my dad enough. He's busted his butt helping me get this buck. It's just as much his buck as it is mine. Thanks for coming along, guys. I really appreciate you guys watching, and I don't say it enough. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do this. So thanks for coming along, and I hope you enjoyed this hunt for this gorgeous velvet mule deer as much as I did making it. So thanks for watching.
The next morning, after percolating some Old Smoke's coffee and having a quick bite to eat, it was time to go check on a waterfowl shoot my grandpa had spotted the day before. Upon arriving to the field, there were already lots of birds down, and with thousands of birds in the air, they were piling into the field flock after flock. Watching all these specklebellies with a prairie sunrise as a backdrop was an absolute thing of beauty and enough to give you goosebumps. And to top it off, we got to watch some mule deer heading back to bed for the morning. With all the birds now leaving the field, it's time to go get set up for what looks like it should be an amazing evening shoot. After getting the pit dug, the decoys put together and laid out, and the blind brushed in, it's now time to get our Revolution Arm shotguns and square ammunition ready and wait for the birds to come out.
Holy smokes, was that awesome. Wow, look at this. Did they come in? I don't know if I've ever had specks come in like that. There's two right out front.
Go! Are we gonna, Dad? Yeah, go. That guy's hit hard. There you go. Holy, was that beautiful! Woo! They come in nice! Oh, he landed. It's okay. Leave it to the right. This one will come right through. Let it come right up. Woohoo! Well, I honestly can't think of a better way to kick off our few days in the prairies here. Topped it off with what I'd consider a world-class bird shoot. Grandpa spotted an amazing shoot here. Thanks, Dad, for spotting
thank you
this
so
one.
much. Man, and it was an amazing night with my dad and grandpa, 3 generations of payments. So we'll be back in a few weeks, hopefully to do it all again. But until then, stay tuned for another episode on Moment of Truth TV.
Closed captioning is brought to you by RV City, located in Mornville and Nisku, Alberta.